Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be talking about Gstr-9, which is the annual return which is to be filed under the GST regime. So in today's video, we will basically be discussing about what is the Gstr-9 form, who all have to file the Gstr-9 form, the due date for filing the Gstr-9, the penalty norms in case if you default in filing the Gstr-9 within the due date which has been specified, etc. So let's get started. First of all, if we look at what is Gstr-9 form, Gstr-9 form, it is an annual return which it is to be filed once in a year by the registered taxpayers under the GST regime, including those who are registered under the composition levy scheme. So if you are a normal taxpayer or if you are even a composition taxpayer, you have to file Gstr-9. So Gstr-9 has to be filed by both normal and composition scheme taxpayers. This form, it contains details regarding the supplies which you have made and which you have received during the year under different tax sets, that is the CGST, SGST and IGST, and it consolidates the information which are furnished in the monthly or the quarterly returns during the year. So basically the Gstr-9 form, it is a consolidation of your monthly return, which is your Gstr-3B which you have filed, and also the Gstr-1 which you have filed either monthly or quarterly based upon your turnover and the option which you have selected. So it is the consolidation of your tax payment return, which is the Gstr-3B, and the invoices return which you have filed, which is Gstr-1. So if you have made any mistakes while filing your Gstr-3B or Gstr-1, then you will face certain problems while filing your Gstr-9, which is the annual returns. Now if we look at who are required to file the Gstr-9 return, all registered regular taxpayers are required to file Gstr-9, casual taxable persons, non-resident taxable persons, persons who are paying TDS, input service distributors. So they are all required to file the Gstr-9. So all registered taxpayers, casual taxable persons, non-resident taxable persons, persons paying TDS, input service distributors. So basically if you are required to file GSTR, any of the GSTR forms either on monthly or quarterly basis, you are required to file Gstr-9 also. Now if we look at the different types of returns in the Gstr-9, it is an annual return form. This is the regular taxpayer who files Gstr-1, Gstr-2 and Gstr-3B. They are required to file Gstr-9. Gstr-9A, composition scheme. Persons who are registered under the composition levy scheme, they are required to file Gstr-9A. E-commerce operators who have filed Gstr-8, they are required to file Gstr-9B. And this is important, 9C, Gstr-9C, taxpayers whose annual turnover crosses rupees 2 crores. They are required to file Gstr-9C in a financial year. Now what is Gstr-9C? So this is basically an audit report under GST. All those taxpayers whose turnover crosses 2 crores, they are needed to obtain the accounts to be audited, and they have to furnish a copy of reconciliation statement of tax which has already been paid, the audited annual accounts and the tax which are payable according to audited accounts with the Gstr-9C. So if there's you have to obtain a reconciliation between taxes which you have paid, the audited annual accounts, and the tax which has become payable in accordance to the audited annual accounts. So if there's any mismatch between your accounts and the taxes which you have paid, you have to disclose that amount of tax which has been mismatched between the taxes paid and taxes payable as per the accounts, and to pay that taxes. So Gstr-9C is an audit report under the GST regime. So this is 9C is applicable only for those taxpayers whose turnover crosses rupees 2 crores. Now I will be making a separate video where I will show you how to file these returns, and that will be a live filing return video. Now I will upload that video as soon as we get the forms. The forms have not yet been uploaded. The government has still not provided us with the forms, and the forms have still not been provided in the GST portal. Now, due date for filing of Gstr-9 annual return. Annual GST return form 9 is required to be furnished on or before 31st December in the respective financial year bracket. So if you want to file Gstr-9 for financial year 17-18, then last date to file the return will be 31st of December 2018. However, as the forms they were not ready, the government for the financial year 2017-18, it has extended the due date for filing Gstr-9 annual return from 31st December to 31st of March 2019. So from 31st December 2018, it has extended the due date till 31st of March 2019, as the returns, so they were not ready. Okay, normally it will be of 31st of December of the following year. Suppose if it is for financial year 18 and 19, then it will be 31st December 2019 will be the due date. Now the most important point is penalty norms. So late fee will be 100 rupees for every day during which such failure to file the return continues, and it will be levied up to a maximum amount deliberated at a 1/4% of the taxpayer's turnover in the respective state. So state basis, it will be 100 rupees per day up to a maximum of a 1/4% of the turnover of the taxpayer in the respective state. It will be based on the state basis. If you have more than one registration, then the maximum amount would be in each state, 1/4% of your turnover in each of the state in which you have registrations. So it's 100 rupees under the CGST, 100 under SGST. So total penalty would be 200 rupees per day of default. There is no late fee on IGST, however. Now, if we talk about the various details which are required in filing of your Gstr-9, so these information are they have been prepared on the basis of the demo form which has been provided to us. So part 1 talks about the basic details of the taxpayer, and these will be auto-populated. You do not have to enter anything. Part 2 of the form contains the details of outward and inward supplies which have been declared during the financial year. The details, they must be picked up by consolidating summary of all the GST returns which you have filed in the previous financial year. Part 3, this will be picked from the ITC which has been declared in the returns filed during the financial year. This will be a summarized values picked up from all GST returns filed in the previous financial year. So part 2 will contain your outward inward supplies picked from your GST returns which you have filed in the financial year. Part 3 will be the ITC which you have claimed in the returns which you have GST returns filed in the financial year. That is the GST 3B where you claim your ITC. Part 4 will contain the details of taxes which you have paid as declared in the returns filed during the financial year. Part 5, particulars of transactions for the previous financial year declared in returns to April to September of current financial year or up to the date of filing of annual return of previous financial year, whichever is earlier. So this part 5 will contain your particulars for the previous financial year you have declared in your returns from April to September of the current financial year up to the date of filing. Whichever, if you file it prior to the date of the April to September period, it will be contain that amount. So the summary of the amendment or omission of entries belonging to previous financial year if you required in the current financial year. So suppose part 5, it will basically contain the transaction. Suppose you have entered into any transaction in a period of suppose March, but you enter that you have omitted to enter that particular transaction or particular supply in the month of March, and you, in order to rectify that error, you enter it into period of May. So this part will contain those transactions. So any amendment or omission of entries belonging to the previous financial year, suppose in the month of Feb 2018 you have entered in the current financial year in the May 2018, then that would be declared in part 5. Part 6, it will contain other informations like any GST demands which has been raised or any refund which you have got, the HSN-wide summary of information of the quantity of goods which have been supplied and received, late fees which are payable and which have been paid, segregation of inward supplies which have been received from different categories of taxpayers, like if you have received inward supplies from composition dealers, deemed supply of goods, goods which have been supplied on approval basis, etc., all will be segregated in part 6. So these are the parts which have been provided regarding the GSTR-9 filing. So I will soon be uploading a in-depth video on the various points in the GSTR-9 return. Once the return form has been finalized, I will soon uploading it. So do subscribe to the channel. And in case if you have any doubts or clarifications, you feel free to write down in the comment section below. And do give your feedbacks in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe and like and share this video among your friends.